Well, the end of the year is appropriate time here for review and reflection, and life is politics as well. Yesterday, New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio, he met the media to review his first 2 years in office, and Dominic will say it's nice he took the time to even talk to the media. He also looked ahead to what was there for the balance of his term. Big takeaway, Mayor admitted to making some mistakes, wasn't specific about them. He also pledged to correct them.
At this level of play and at this volume, there's going to be mistakes. My job is to make fewer and fewer mistakes. My job is to, always learn from everything. One thing I do pride myself on is if I make a mistake, I try and learn from it.
But that does not quite tell the story of yesterday's sit-down with the press. Yes, de Blasio admitted to making some mistakes, but based on the report card that he gave himself, the mayor still thinks he's doing a whole lot more right than wrong. De Blasio, he's praised the city's reduction in crime, down 2.5%. He also touted the city's pre-K program, now serving more than 68,000 kids. De Blasio celebrated the city's efforts on affordable housing, securing 30,000 new apartments at below market rates, and he mentioned his Vision Zero traffic safety program and the 60 fewer traffic deaths in the city compared to the same point in 2013. But on the flip side, the mayor's list of negatives was rather short. City's increase in homelessness and the slow city response on the streets and in the mayor's office to that increase. Now, of course, other people have pointed out a lot of other de Blasio negatives, including the Times reporter who covered yesterday's press event. His naughty list included the mayor's push to become a national player in the progressive movement, including an Iowa presidential forum that no candidates wanted to attend. Also, his ill-fated fight against Uber and the aforementioned homelessness, and his long-delayed and eventually useless endorsement of Hillary Clinton, whose Senate campaign de Blasio had once run. All right, Dominic, he did what you expect. You're not going to, self-destroy yourself here with 2 years left.
You're not going to tell the truth, the full truth.
Okay, but
every mayor, Democrat or Republican.
We've seen him in 2 years in office. And what's funny, I think, is for people who knew him and covered him, he ran a really clever campaign, considering nobody thought he was going to win the Democratic primary. And whether it was the Dante ad with the afro or not, he still found a way and a path to getting a nomination that we pegged him at fourth or fifth best, given the field how it started. So he has political instincts, but the biggest problem, I think, in his first 2 years in office is an absence of political instincts. Picking the fights with the wrong guys, letting yourself get outboxed when you even do the work but don't get the credit for it, and picking an issue that you're not prepared to do everything possible to see its conclusion, or not taking it on if he can't win it, like Uber, for example. I thought he was going to have trouble with stuff that he's done okay at, and I thought he'd be a whole lot better at stuff that he's been a disaster at. We're still trying to figure out who the guy is.
Yes, to answer your question, to be direct, this mayor has been a disappointment. My words and the words of polling, based on pick any survey, he's been well under the 50% threshold, which is the comfort level for an incumbent mayor. He has a problem. He has a media problem. I understand that this mayor in particular did not like the New York Post. I understand that. But you cannot win a battle with the media. Richard French can't, Jeannie can't, Andrew can't, Lord knows I can't. Nobody can win a battle with the tabloids. The mayor has learned this the hard way. He tries to go to war with the New York Post, and then the Daily News, the Times, everybody turns on him. I've watched the number of mayors.
And some of it isn't just media picking him. You can't not take questions. That's terrible, right?
Well, that's
You've never
disgusting.
seen that, right?
I mean, wait, aren't you the progressive mayor? We the people? What happened to that, Mr. Mayor, when it comes time to take a question?
Let's let Andrew
in. De Blasio's polling is below 50%, but it's almost exactly where Bloomberg's was at this point in his first term. It's almost exactly where Giuliani's was at this point in his first term. So it's kind of your standard positioning for a mayor of New York. Yes, I think he's done a terrible job when it comes to the media, and I think the media likes him a lot less than the people of New York do. I think if you were to grade his first 2 years from a perception standpoint.
Andrew, you live in New York City. Do you get the impression if you walk down in your neighborhood, people say, oh, he's doing a really good job? Don't you think people think the city's doing, whether it's fair or not, don't you think people would give the vibe the city's doing well in spite of the mayor?
I tend not to talk about politics when I'm walking around my neighborhood.
You know what I mean.
I gave it the office. But no, I think some people are disappointed when they see things that they don't want to see. But I also think that a lot of the critics of de Blasio were critics of his before he was ever elected, and we're sort of just waiting. Like, they planted this seed of negativity, and they're just waiting for it to
The Times gave him
bloom.
a love letter. The Times has been banging on him like nobody's business.
I think again, from a perception standpoint, from the way his image is and how he's handled that, I give him a D for his first 2 years. I think it's been terrible, and they can do a lot
from
better.
a substance
But in
standpoint?
terms of the substance, in terms of the actual policies, I give him a B. He's been able to do most of what he wanted to do. He might not have necessarily taken the
those fair
fastest
grades?
route for it.
Well, let's be honest. His reputation problem is because he oversold in a campaign. He made promises that he was never going to be able to keep.
Like?
And you can go down the list. He was going to bring together a city that was fractured. Well, first of all, there wasn't a lot of evidence the city was fractured, and he has made that fracturing worse. Police community relations under him have gotten worse. The sense of crime, the perception of crime has gotten worse. As he's acknowledged, homelessness has gotten worse. I will tell you something in defense of de Blasio. I thought his biggest challenge was going to be making these contracts with these unions, and I think he's done a much better job on that than anybody expected. I think he's done a great job in terms of the pre-K, and I think he deserves credit for that. And I think, this thing he announced today about non-unionized employees getting paternity and maternity leave, I think he's done some really good strides there. But overall, Andrew, talk to your neighbors. People are not happy, and it's because he spends his time focused on other things. He's got to focus on New York City.
Okay, well, that's a perfect launching point. I believe he will. He's given up this national progressive mantle, at least for now. He knows he's not going to do that. Let's go around and start with you. What do you think he will or should do different in the next 2 years here to give the impression that he's New York City's mayor, especially if he wants a second term?
I think he's going to have to do more press conferences. He's going to have to do more like radio phone-in conversations, more town halls, meet people, and basically start campaigning again to keep the job that he was already elected to. And I'm sorry, I know I hate to break the format, but I throw a flag on what you say about dividing the community. Yes, their police relations are worse than they were before he took office, but part of that is because he brought communities that had been sort of marginalized and he made them more mainstream. He's upset some people in that regard, but I think more people have greater access to the mayor's office than they did
and
before.
to be fair to him, at least, you get rid of stop and frisk, it's going to cause friction with the NYPD.
But that stop and frisk was down before he took office.
Not to the degree it is now, Jeannie. That's not fair.
Before they came in, it was way down. Look at Dyer's reports in the New York Times. It was way down. I mean, this is what he set up. There's an enormous problem, and I'm going to handle it. And in fact, the problems have gotten worse.
We got 30 seconds, Tom. You give him advice if he wants to keep his job, what he's got to do different in the next 2 years.
Totally change who you are. Because right now, no, I'm serious. Because right now it's not working, Mr. Mayor. And those yes fools that are standing there telling you, yes, sir, they're not helping you. You got to do a Rudy Giuliani. Bloomberg, who was a billionaire, learned from Rudy. So should de Blasio. I'm there every day, sun up to sun down. One pair of rocked over shoes that he should wear every day, and the mayor should be on point with everything.
On time, too.
Tell his security detail, I don't care what you do, I have got to be early for each and every event.
Pull a Giuliani, make everybody hate you.
Well,
And on that note, okay, we come back. This is right up Andrew's alley. The U.S. space program used to be the source of national pride, a global pride, if you will, and certainly human advancement. Now, not so much. That is a private space company made history this week. But does the public lose when advances like space exploration become the domain of the private industry rather than America and government? That is next when RFL continues.